You know?
Okay. I want to talk about this movie.
I do too.
Killing Them Softly. All right, a movie that I was really looking forward to.
I think we all were.
So many movies this year that was terribly disappointing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Was it disappointing to you, or?
Yes, I would say it ranks as the number one disappointment of the year. Ahead of Annex.
I found it incredibly dull.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, there's that. I don't even know if dull is the right word, but it's
like repetitive.
Here's the thing. If the movie before this was not the assassination of Jesse James, if this was the follow-up to Chopper, I don't know if we'd be having this conversation. But since it is the follow-up to Jesse James, it is a tremendous letdown. I mean, it is, because you're watching it. First of all, the film does one great thing. It de-glamorizes the whole entire mob gangster ethos in a matter of seconds.
It does do that.
I mean,
everything's trashy and horrible around.
Yeah, but I think it's a long. I know that Aaron Adias and Matt Zeitz thought people were being too hard on them and everything. I thought the thing with the financial crisis in the election, I was like, guys, I get it. This is heavy-handed with
that's the number one flaw of it for me was that it made the subtext the main through line of the movie. I mean, it made it so painfully, terribly, stupidly obvious throughout.
Yeah, like George Romero directed it all.
And it should be subtext. The number two thing is you take that out. For me, it's still not a very interesting crime movie.
No.
That's true.
It's sad because here you have this book written by George V. Higgins, who wrote The Friends of Eddie Coyle, a far superior book and movie. But I'd be very curious if they had left this as a period piece when the book was written, because it's interesting.
What period does it take place in the book?
I think it's the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't bother reading the book because it would be too close to the movie. I figured I'd give it a couple of years now, but I've read a couple books by Higgins, and The Friends of Eddie Coyle is always considered like one of the greatest crime novels of the 20th century, and the thing that inspired like Elmore Leonard and George Pelecanos, Michael Connelly to write. But the movie just does. I don't think the movie never gets going.
It doesn't.
It dies.
And there's, no actors really. There's a good the two weasels. Ben Mendelsohn is one of them. I forget who the other actor is, but they come across because they do some humorous stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
But Brad Pitt came across to me at the end, towards the end of the movie with his big speech, and I was like, this unbelievable political philosopher hitman seemed kind of absurd to me. They cast the movie with the most obvious of types. It's the most obviously casted movie of the year.
What about Johnny Sack though in the movie?
Yeah,
exactly.
I like seeing him, but he's basically Johnny Sack, So
I was so happy he got work.
Yeah, me too. I was glad to, just because I'm a huge Soprano fan. I was glad to see him and Gandolfini. And for me, Gandolfini was the best thing in the movie. Like the person that really got me sitting forward a little bit. But boy,
it doesn't work. It just doesn't. I think saying it dies is wrong. It never was alive to begin with to die. It's just.
People walked out of that movie in droves.
How many people walked out?
Because
I saw your post. How was it? Really obvious for you to make that post that so many.
I was between 12 and 15. They were.
That's a lot.
It was a packed house, but they started leaving halfway through, and
not a long movie either.
Yeah, and it feels long, but once one couple leaves, it kind of empowers other people to leave. So it started trickling, and I was just bored to tears, and all the economic stuff, the mob is really parallel to the government and the financial crisis is in here. It takes place in 2008. While this financial crisis stuff is
and that
happening.
makes sense. I get
it. We got to kill Ray Liotta. Nobody wants to, but it's a necessary evil, kind of like bailing out the banks. It gets us out of this thing. Everything is
I mean, the parallel is so obvious.
But The Godfather is a portrait of America, and it's seamless. It's just it just is. It's not forced upon the thing.
Plus, the movie comes out right after we've gone through this whole election cycle, and the last thing we want to hear is more of that.
I agree with you. I think
of that talk. I
think it was a mistake to add that, to even do that. I mean, they should have. I wonder. Now, let me ask you this. Did they? What was it? What it was supposed to come out in September? Were they just thought it was too crowded, or there were too many crime movies or something?
Or maybe they thought they were being clever or something by releasing it when they did, or I don't know.
Well, Harvey thought it had Oscar written all over it. That's the reason he gave for pushing it back. I really have to say,
not everything that he releases needs to be Oscar. He needs to get a grip on himself.
This hurt. I think this. We'll forget Harvey for a second. I'd have to say this ranks as one of the supreme disappointments of the year. I mean,
stylistically, it has interesting stuff in it, but even the most stylistic part of the movie, which is the Ray Liotta shootout in the car. It's style for style's sake. There's no reason for it to be shot like that.
I thought it was annoying after a while.
And in that scene, their music cue was Love Letters, which was David Lynch's music cue during the shootout in Blue Velvet.
Yeah.
That was infuriating to me. Mm-hmm. That was so ridiculous. Why do directors take songs that have been used in movies so perfectly and then use them again as if they've never been used before? I mean, this doesn't make any sense.
I have a question, though.
Just completely off limits.
I have a question for you guys, though. and I know people did this, these really, these like, with The Dark Knight Rises, and I'm like, well, that's sort of based on a comic book character. But let me ask you this. All right, you have these two punks who hold up these two tables full of these tough guys, and you mean not one of them is going to really, stand up and say, really? I mean, you're just looking at, come on, one of you, someone can pull a gun here. Someone can pull a gun. I mean, and not chase them after they leave? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, and this kind of scene was done at least twice in The Sopranos.
Yeah.
So,
that's what we were trying to figure out. It was like we've seen this before and recent too. I mean,
they did it twice in The Sopranos. There were two different holdups in the course of that series.
Right.
That were
it was just infuriating.
Kind of thing. So they have such a thing called Cinema Score, which is essentially an audience exit poll. What grade do they give these movies?
And
they do it with pretty much every movie, that new big movie that's released. Killing Them Softly got an F. To let you know whether that's fair or unfair from audiences, to let you know what other films got a Cinema Score F, here are a couple of titles. And I can understand the majority of audiences kind of being put off by Killing Them Softly because it's kind of an intentionally arty movie, and I think it's a little too arty for its own good.
Mm-hmm.
But here's some other movies that they didn't like. The Devil Inside. They gave The Devil Inside an F, but they also made it gross over $100 million, so they didn't dislike it that much. Silent House, the one-take horror movie with Olsen.
Oh, right.
The Box.
Oh, well, I kind of like that movie, but...
Bug.
Oh, yeah, that's unfair.
Wolf Creek.
Another movie I sort of like.
Yeah, I mean, these others, with The Devil Inside I didn't see, so I can't say anything about it, but
Darkness, an Anna Paquin horror movie.
Oh, that's from like 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah. Solaris, George Clooney's version.
Yeah.
Soderbergh. You know, I mean, that gives you a sense. I mean,
so they don't give Fs that often, huh?
No.
So it's pretty rare to get an F.
Right.
And this seems like you know one of
I don't know
the
if I'd give it an F, but I mean.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily give it an F either, but it was. I mean, definitely in the disappointment range. I would give it an F.
I think it was high up there for the year. Not even a year, just some recent memory as a follow-up to a very promising director. I mean, it's just like
to a masterpiece. You know, just a plain, absolute masterpiece.
Yeah.
That Jesse James movie.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie didn't even look like it was made by the same person.
I get, that's a very good point, Dean. You do get the feeling you're watching it and you're just like, the same guy. I mean, I don't even know if it's fair to say the same guy who made Chopper made this.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, because,